for joining us. We are going to just do like quick introductions of who we are and then hop into the actual content here. So I'm Leah Paulson Dunmeyer. I'm an assistant director in the housing office. I've been at Temple for about 3 years, actually almost four. So the students who were first years when I first started are graduating this year, including a student or two that I've like supervised the whole time here, which is so wild, but very exciting. So thank you for joining us, and I'll let Ashley introduce herself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Ashley Hubler. I use she, her pronouns. I'm currently the associate director in housing, so overseeing a lot of the room selection, move-in stuff. So you've probably gotten 95 emails from me, just trying to make sure everybody knows what they're doing. So this is definitely, like I always say, room selection is my Super Bowl. So I'm so excited about this. And thank you again for taking some time to be with us this evening.
Yeah, so tonight we are going to be talking about the roommate matching and room selection processes for our new and transfer students. So our returning students have had their go back in February and kind of continuously since then. So now our attention is fully on our new and transfer students over this next couple months. So we're super excited that you are here. So wanted to review some timeline things first. So what is open right now? So first, the Living Learning Community applications are open right now. They close on May 7th. So for students who might not make their decision until, the decision deadline on May 1st, they have another week to apply for a Living Learning Community or for gender inclusive housing. So we'll talk a little bit more about what those options are, but we have Living Learning Communities that are centered around a major or an interest, and then gender inclusive housing just means that you can sign up to live in housing with people of any gender. So you would be able to see a ton of roommate matches all across the gender spectrum. And roommate matching is also open. So for students that might not want to opt into an LLC or gender inclusive housing, they can start looking for roommates in kind of the general selection process. And we'll talk plenty about that in the next few slides. And on Monday, April 14th, which is 1 week from today, self-selection for both of those kind of specialty housing groups that I mentioned, our living learning communities and gender inclusive housing, the self-selection process begins. So people participating in those communities select earlier than the general process, and it'll be open for a little while, but starts on Monday. So if people are really itching to get into a certain community, they don't have to wait much longer. And then Thursday, May 1st is Temple's commitment deadline. It's actually, oh, I'm sorry, about to cough. Thank you. It is the national commitment deadline for universities across the country, and it's our housing application deadline as well. So if you submit your housing application by that date, you're guaranteed housing on campus for next year as a new or transfer student. And then Wednesday, May 7th, like I said, kind of above, the LLC and gender inclusive housing applications close. And that's also the priority deadline for DRS housing, which is our accommodations that folks can register through DRS if they need something specific in their room. And then Thursday, May 8th is the selection deadline for LLCs and gender inclusive. So the day before, the application will close, and then to kind of catch those last minute folks, they'll have until the next day to select housing. Looking a little bit further, for folks participating in our general selection process, the week of May 12th is when time slots will be distributed. So anyone who submits their housing deposit and application by May 1st will receive a time slot to select housing during the week of May 19th. So you get your time slot a week before that week of housing selection opens. And so we do that strategically. We'll talk a bit about why, as far as, roommate matching and being able to make the group leader the person with the earliest time slot. We try to give folks about a week to figure all those logistics out before the actual selection process starts. And then the week of May 27th, room selection open access will happen. So anyone who applied for housing after May 1st will kind of participate in a second round of housing. So like we had said, we guarantee housing if you do all of that before May 1st, but afterwards we try to accommodate as many people as we can with what availability we still have. So there will be kind of like a general opening kind of later on in May, right after Memorial Day. So we are going to dive into one of my favorite things to talk about, roommate matching. And I'm so sorry, I have allergies.
I'm loving the courtesy mute.
Whew, I
I'm
know.
loving
I'm not I'm not trying to hack in everybody's ears. I do apologize. The pollen, you should have seen there's a lot of pollen on my car right now. It's really happening. So
Oh
I apologize.
man. If y'all are not ready for the Philadelphia allergies,
They
add that
are
to your
real.
packing list.
Yeah.
Add it.
Yeah. Great time over here. But yeah, so I was just so excited about roommate matching. I just needed a moment. That's really what it was. So wanted to give you, we have some screenshots over these next few slides just to show you a little bit about how the roommate matching process looks in the students housing portal. So you'll be able to see these things a student will be able to see them on their portal. So on the left here, you can see the roommate matching tab. So they won't be able to see a roommate room selection tab until room selection actually opens. So right now they'll be able to see roommate matching. So don't worry if you can't see exactly this screen. But the roommate matching tab, if they click there, gives them this kind of page. There's a little walkthrough video of how to do roommate matching. And a little bit of an explanation about what roommate groups are, some of that kind of stuff. This will only show up if a student doesn't have a housing assignment. So if somebody goes through, the LLC process next week, and then all of a sudden decides they want to, go roommate match, they won't be able to see all of this because they already have booking or like a room selected. So just kind of want to put that out there that you can only see this before you select housing. So if a student goes in, that's why we recommend doing this as, early, now while it's open before the actual selection week. We don't suggest waiting until selection week to look for roommates because then if someone has a booking and someone doesn't, you can't match with each other. So right now, while no one has a housing assignment yet, this is the best time and you'll be able to see the most people in this matching process. So next steps after those couple of pages, you'll see kind of all of these lovely progress bar options here. And so you'll be able to manage a group. So in this screenshot, this person isn't in a group, but you can click any of these different options to search for roommates by name. So if you have a friend or a family member or a cousin or somebody that you want to live with, you can look someone up by their name. Or you can search by like a roommate group name. If you found a couple people and you have a group text, you have an actual name for the group, you can look by that. You can also look for suggested roommates. And so this is why our last portion of the housing application, which is your student profile, is so important because the suggested roommates will show up with basically the highest percentage of people that had questions that matched yours. So, okay, let me explain that a little bit better. So the student profile asks you all sorts of questions about your preferences of bedtime, other things that are important to know about someone you live with, your study habits, things like that. And then when you go to search for suggested roommates, the person at the very top will have the highest percentage match on all those questions with you. And they're 100% doesn't exist. I don't think that will ever exist because they're all weighted differently. So anything over 50% is honestly good. So we recommend you can reach out to as many people as you want on that page. There's a little message button. It'll email them. You can kind of see, you're not committing to anything right away. You can just see if you might be a good match. And then you can make a roommate group with, up to 4 people total if you're looking at a suite, or just with another person if you're looking to live in just a double room. And the search will restrict by gender or classification. So new student or transfer students will only be able to see each other. And only once students have completed their application, you'll be able to see them. So if you are looking for a specific person and you don't see them, it could be for a couple different reasons. They might not have completed their housing application yet. They might have marked themselves as not searchable because people can do that. They might be, like I kind of just said, a different classification or different gender. So if you have any issues with that, please reach out to our team and we'll let you know why you might not be able to see someone. We can check. You can also, ask a friend hey, did you not do XYZ? But if you need help kind of figuring out why you might not be able to see someone, we could confirm, or if they are, in any of these different categories of why you might not be able to see them. And then, like I mentioned, this is kind of how it pops up. So this is a great match. All of these people above 90.
Disclaimer that it's fake. I have a fake student thing in there. So this is fake. If you see 90%, go for it. If you see 30%, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
So this is fake. Just a disclaimer.
Yeah, then this would be an outlier. If you see someone this great, they might be your perfect match. But you can also search by different profiles. So you can search by a specific question that you like weight really heavily. So if your ability to have guests or if your noise level, if those things are really important to you, you can filter by a question or two. Not every single question. You can't say every single one is so important to me and I need to know someone who matches all of them because there'll probably be no one because like we said, 100% just doesn't really happen. But you can search if there's something that's really important to you. You can search to see people who match specifically on that question with you and then kind of go from there. Um, yeah. So next, we kind of just wanted to show you how you can manage the actual group page to join a roommate group. So we showed these kind of before, but you can, so if you wanted to start a group, you'll like name the group and then you can go ahead and add people. So this, for example, this is me and Ashley right here. So this is our little group. So in this case, Ashley started the group. She's the group leader, and she sent me a request. So these requests must be accepted within 1 week or they expire. Every time you make an edit in this kind of area of roommate groups, it sends everyone in the group an email. So that's whether you add someone, invite someone, delete someone, which happens. It'll send, so nobody can do any shady business because it will tell you every time somebody makes a change in a group that you're in. And you can adjust who the group leader is. So Ashley, as the leader, is the only person that has the power to do that. So this shows after I've accepted the invite. It shows that she can make me the leader, remove me, do all sorts of things. So as the leader, Ashley would have to be the one to change those things. So you can join an existing group or create a group. And kind of these are some of the screens that you might see. And on this page, just wanted to highlight that you can see after time slots go out, you can see everybody's time slots. So in this case, I don't have one listed here, but if I did, Ashley could look at, okay, hers is 4/16. If mine is 4/15, which aren't real dates that are happening during housing selection, but if mine was earlier, she might want to make me the group leader because you want to make the person with the earliest time slot your leader. But you also want to make sure that that person knows what they're doing because they are then in charge of selecting housing for the whole group. So we honestly, I recommend to people all the time, whoever the leader is, yes, you trust them to go do this, but maybe like be by your phone, have a little group chat, maybe even get on as like a FaceTime or whatever, just while they're doing it, so you can make sure you like are comfortable with everything that's happening. So because it does happen, unfortunately, where people will accidentally not select a space for a roommate and that person kind of gets left out. And so we just want to make sure that, you got some accountability in your little group to make sure that everything's going right. And for this process too, it also sends emails like if your group leader assigns you a space successfully, it'll send you an email. So if you don't get an email, that's when the red alarm should go up that something might not have gone right. So I am going to pass it to Ashley to talk a little bit more about room selection.
Okay, thank you so much, Leah. All right. So fast forward a little bit, your roommate group is confirmed. I just want to reiterate that there is a timer on the requests. So at the bottom, you can see if it's outgoing or if someone has accepted it. Once your group is confirmed, good to go. Now we're skipping ahead to the actual room selection time. So if you are part of an LLC or part of Gender Inclusive, you're going to do this starting next week. For general selection, this will be what you do May 19th week, whenever your time slot is. Okay. So when you go into your housing application, you want to make sure you're clicking the right year. For new students, you're obviously only going to see 1 year. For returning students, they might see 2. So I wanted to include that example here. And then again, like Leah mentioned, the room selection button is going to be right below the roommate matching one. So that might be visible as soon as room selection opens, but there's another page that won't be visible until your time slot. So there's kind of like a 2-layer thing going on, like room selection opens and then it will tell you when it is exactly your turn. Okay. So I think that's on the next page. Yep. So after you click into the room selection part, if you are part of an LLC or Gender Inclusive, you're going to see this icon that says specialty room selection. That's you. That's the one you want to pick. If you're doing general selection, you're just going to see the icon that says room selection. This is the little arrow that will not appear until your time slot. Okay. So if you're opening it up and you're going, uh-oh, I don't see it, it's because it's not your turn yet. If it is your turn and you don't see it, call us ASAP. We'll figure that out. So yeah, just wanted to go over kind of what those screenshots look like. So as you're going through room selection, and once you click the little arrow and you're going in, it kind of goes biggest to smallest. So I kind of think of like an inverted pyramid. So you're going to start with the building, then you're going to go to the floor, suite, and room. Then you're going to go to the individual bed spaces and kind of bedrooms in there. And then you get your confirmation. So if you're the group leader, or if you're going in solo, which no shame or blame, you do have the option to do that. Roommate matching is not forced on anybody. If you want to go in and pick a room and let someone room with you, totally fine as well. The data that we have is that it's about half and half. So half of students will decide to kind of make a group ahead of time, and half of students are like, I'm going to chance it and it's going to be great. And it's really only not great sometimes for a very small percentage of people. Most people are able to make it work and kind of figure it out. And that's part of growing up, right? And learning to live with people. So this is kind of the basic steps that we're going to take. So on that building page, you're only going to see the buildings that are available for newer transfer students and that actually have spaces left. So if you log in and you're really, really hoping for 1300, but you don't see 1300 on that screen, that means that there are no spaces there for you. So this will filter, again, kind of like roommate matching, with your classification, your gender, whatever specialty community you're in. So if you are partaking in Tyler School of Art and Architecture, LLC, you're going to log in here and the only thing you're going to see is 1940 because that's where your community is, right? So that's going to be the big indicator of where you're going to end up. The other thing is once you select into a building, it's going to list out all of the suites or rooms available. So in Johnson and Hardwick, it's going to list out all the individual doubles. In our suite style, it's going to list out all the suites that are available. Something that is easier sometimes for filtering purposes is on the left side, there is a little checkbox where it says like unit type G1, unit type G2. If you click on each of those boxes, it will automatically filter out specific room types. So if you go on our website and you're kind of looking through the unit types and you know right away, okay, in 1300 or in 1940, I really want to look for unit type K. Anything in the Ks, I would like. If there's a K listed there, that means there's one available. If there's not, then there's not. So sometimes that helps you navigate a little quicker rather than tabbing through all the pages. Does that make sense? Okay. I think we can go to the next one. Okay. So then the other thing to remember that does get a little tricky about suites and apartments, because there's multiple bedrooms in each suite or apartment, mostly two. Each of the bedrooms that are listed is by bedroom. So if you look on here, for example, on the Hardwick example, you can see the room number is there. So it's 1070, obviously 10th floor, and room number 70. So it's kind of like a hotel, like that kind of numbering. At the bottom, you can see there's a 2 with a little bed by it, meaning it's a double. 2 people, double. And then it will tell you if there's any type of LLCs associated with that area, and it will show you if there are any existing roommates in that space. So if you're going in by yourself, you can see who the person is that you're going to be signing up to live with. If you are in a roommate group, though, and it's maybe me and Leah going through together, I need to look for an open double. So that's where I would want to take a look at 1073, right? Because it's showing me no roommates are assigned. It's a double room. I can see that in the description, and then the little bed count says 2. So that would be a good option for me and Leah. If I wanted to look at a suite or apartment, this is where it gets a little tricky. Because it's by bedroom, if you have a group of 4 people, you want to click 2 bedrooms that are in the same suite. So in this example, this is a 1940 space. It says East 430. So that's on the east side, the 4th floor. And you're going to see 430A and 430B. So both of those bedrooms, if we want to be in a suite together, it would be good to make sure we click both of those bedrooms. And the other thing for this example, this would not be a good example. Trick question. Why? because if you have a group of 4 people, each of those rooms already have a roommate in it. So that's not going to work out, right? So we have to keep going and keep tabbing until we can find a fully open suite that has no roommates assigned right now. If I have a group of 4 people, if I have a group of 2 and I'm just looking for one side of a suite or one side of an apartment, then you could just look for the 1 bedroom that doesn't have any roommates right now. So hopefully that's helpful. I feel like this is a part that tricks a lot of people up. So it is kind of like looking for concert tickets, right? So the minute that you click that add to cart, there's a 10-minute timer that's going to start. So you kind of have to get through and confirm your selection in 10 minutes, or it is going to restart you. So as you're kind of going through and you're adding your things to your cart, it's not going to automatically take you to the next page. So you do have to scroll to the bottom and click continue so that the system knows that you're ready to proceed. And then the next screen, if you are in a roommate group, this is where roommate group leaders, they have a tough time. And this is where you accidentally could leave someone out. So in this screen, if you are in a roommate group, if you're just by yourself, you're just going to click one of them and move on because you're going to be the only person in here. But for this example, if I am picking a room for me and it looks like my fake roommate here is Brad. If I'm picking a room for both of us, I have to select a bed space for me and a bed space for him. And this is what will actually add him into the room with me. So the other part that's a little tricky is like, for that example of when you have a group of 4 people, this is where you indicate, okay, these 2 people are going to be together in the A bedroom and these 2 people are going to be together in the B bedroom. This is the screen that you're able to figure that out. If you're in a double, it's basically like left side or right side, like nothing too crazy. But if you are in a bigger group and you are filling up like a whole suite or apartment, this is kind of where you designate which side, which people should go on. If you skip this, and you only assign yourself or you only assign one person, you're gonna leave people out and you can't go back. So you have to be careful to really use the drop downs, make sure that everybody has a spot and that you're selecting a spot for each person. There is one opportunity to go back after this, but then that's it. So you have to really be careful. All right, so our next one is our room selection review page. So this is basically a confirmation of everything that you picked. So in this scenario, my friend Ryan chose a space in 1940, and he's the only person on this screen. So that means if he is part of a roommate group and he's the only person he sees on here, no bueno, we got to go back. So this is the last page where it says you can go back or you finish and that's it. You can't go back anymore. So once you click assign and finish on this page, that is what triggers the emails to all your group members. So at that point, it is done and you've completed all the steps. So please as a reminder, when you are thinking about that 10-minute timer, you're really just getting through like 1 or 2 pages, right? I think some people get really freaked out by that. You're only really getting through this bed space page and the confirmation page to make sure everything looks good, and then assign and finish, and you are good to go. All right, what do we have next, Leah? Okay, meal plans. Y'all, if you have not had the chance to meet Trina at Experience Temple Day, she is our meal plan queen. So she had her pom-poms out this year, so I had to throw this picture in there for you. In the housing application, you indicate a meal plan preference. So this will be what is added for you by default. So after room selection is completed, then you will see a meal plan is added for you. For new and transfer students, they are required to have at least 12 meals per week. We need to make sure you're eating out here and that you have access to food. If you wanted to upgrade or downgrade or do changes, the last day to do that is going to be add drop. So over the summer, your meal plan will show up. It will show up on your bill. And then if you need to make any changes, you do have a window of time to do that. Other important things, room switch will be available at some point over the summer. If you want to check out something else, you got a room, but you're not really sure, that will be available and we will send that out as availability allows. If there's no spaces, we're obviously not going to turn that part on. But if there is a little bit of wiggle room, we will let y'all know. The important thing to remember is if you are in a group, it only changes you. It does not change your whole group. So please just keep that in mind. If you decide you no longer want to live with us, I don't even want to talk about it, but if you decide that you no longer want to live with us, there is a cancellation request in My Housing. So where Leah showed you the roommate matching and room selection ones, at the bottom, there's one that says cancellation, and you are able to cancel at no penalty before May 31st. If you don't have a balance on your account already, you would be eligible for a refund of your deposit. After May 31st, and this is after room selection, time slots and stuff have gone out. After that, you do lose your deposit and there could be additional fees. So just keep that in mind, that date is going to be right after room selection. So please make sure you have that on the calendar, and we will send out a reminder when it gets a little closer, just so you don't miss it in case you had other plans or if something fell through. Sometimes students decide not to come to Temple or they make other plans. Either way, there is a little wiggle room there, but come May 31st, the clock is ticking there with their fees. So we don't want you to do that. So those were all the things that we wanted to review with you today. We hope that this was helpful. Sometimes it is helpful to just kind of walk it through ahead of time.